Cinema Classics is sponsored by the Gateway Film Center and is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to shows online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Johnny DiLoretto. This is Cinema Classics.
It sure is.
I got a topic for you.
All right.
Okay. You remember, what was it, a couple years ago, or was it last year, where Warren Beatty went to announce what the best picture was?
Oh, great moment.
And he said, La La Land.
Yeah, right.
And he must have been in La La Land because the best picture winner was actually Moonlight.
So you mean to tell me?
So what I'm telling you,
you're
sometimes movies win that shouldn't.
You're saying,
I'm not saying Moonlight. I'm just saying,
yeah.
Over the years, there's been some more confusion.
Right.
Right.
Well, I went on your old TV station and predicted that La La Land would win. And Moonlight just came up there, and I would have to say, while I appreciated Moonlight,
yeah,
La La Land was my choice and still is.
Yeah, I do too. But anyway, let's go back through history.
Okay.
Let's talk about some
movies. That's what we do.
That's what we do. Movies that have won Oscars that maybe shouldn't necessarily have won Oscars.
And that's highlighted by the fact that the ones we'll offer are classic movies.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure.
What? The first one. Let's do the major, the big one.
Okay.
I would say, How Green Was My Valley. So it was a nice, kind of homely
John
film.
Ford movie.
Yeah, set probably in Wales.
Talking about 1942.
You bet. And when you say
it wins over,
it wins over
Citizen
Kane,
which this gets at the heart of this issue, right? Because what we consider sometimes the greatest movies ever made aren't necessarily award-winning movies, you know?
Sure.
And they're not necessarily the movies that have the most legs. So, How Green Was My Valley, no one really ever talks about that movie. We still argue about Citizen Kane.
And you're right, and Citizen Kane won only the screenplay, I think, for that year. But you did have what's his name, the Mogul fighting, I guess.
Orson Welles.
No.
What are we talking about?
Who is satirizing?
William Randolph Hearst.
Hearst. You had Hearst putting pressure on by not allowing the film into his theaters. And so there's a reason why Citizen Kane, and it took a few years, and I think we've pretty much established that a classic that isn't always a classic at that moment.
Right, and you get at another point there regarding Citizen Kane is the politics around it.
Yeah.
I think Wells also was a hotshot. He was a theater guy, kind of just, like a bull in a china shop, coming into Hollywood and sort of...
He threw all kinds of insults against Hollywood when he came out there.
Right, I think he drew a lot of bad blood.
This is the biggest, electric train or erector set a boy ever had. He said when he saw Hollywood.
All right, let's jump around a little bit.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Hey, here's one that's pretty egregious.
All right.
1982, Chariots of Fire.
Yes.
Good
theme.
Known mainly for that plangent score.
Oh, I love it.
And skinny white guys in oversized underwear jogging on the beach. That's what I remember of that.
And you got that right.
It wins over Raiders of the Lost Ark,
which is a transformative film.
Oh my, it's so great. Now, I understand at the time when it came out, probably it was just perceived as like a popcorn movie.
Right, really more comic book than real.
Box office blockbuster.
Yes, exactly.
But yet, the magic that's at work in that movie surely deserved an Oscar over Chariots of Fire, right?
But I got one better than that.
Yes, give me.
Okay, 1999. Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah.
More of a testimony to the power of Harvey Weinstein.
At the time,
At the time. Because it beat out Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's just unbelievable to me.
Now see, but here's where it gets sticky. That sometimes, just because of a movie's, and I guess this is a question, because of a movie's narrative weight or its subject matter, does that necessarily mean it should automatically be considered for the award over another movie like Shakespeare in Love, which is, I mean, hey, look, one is about war, one is about love.
Yeah, well, I still think Harvey had enormous weight in pushing Shakespeare in Love through. And you're right, having Shakespeare in the title gives it gravitas. But if anybody, and all of us, even when we saw Private Ryan, we say, this is groundbreaking. The realism was unrelenting.
Yeah.
Hanks's performance was terrific. There was everything going for it. Yeah.
So right around then, there's a cluster of the same problem.
All right.
Cluster.
Yeah.
Okay? So Shakespeare in Love wins over Saving Private Ryan. 2 years before that, now this is one I actually agree with.
This is a good one.
English Patient wins over Fargo. And I have zero problems with that. I think English Patient is a beautiful, epic...
Soporific.
Oh, I don't think it's soporific.
Oh, I think it is.
Oh, I don't.
It's so pretentious.
I love it. And I love that movie.
and here, is this the first time? That's not the first time we get Coen Brothers, is it?
No, and it's not. And it's not even one of their best movies. So I don't.
Oh my God!
I know everybody loves that one.
It has humor. It catches a regionalism unbelievable. Anyway, yes, all right. But
so that one I disagree with.
Yeah.
Here's one that gets a little murkier.
I got one too.
1995.
Oh yes,
Forrest
I knew
Gump
you would.
Wins over Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah.
Now, in some ways, this is the exact mirror of How Green Was My Valley and Citizen Kane, because Pulp Fiction was arguably almost had as big an impact on the industry and the style of filmmaking that came after it as Citizen Kane did in its time.
You are absolutely right, which makes the conclusion here that this is a big mistake.
But
because
does
Pulp
it make it Best
Fiction
Picture?
Is there? People refer to Pulp Fiction now. It is the index for that kind of gritty gangster movie that has the nerve to have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Can have characters practically talking to the screen.
It's iconoclastic.
Oh my God. And Forrest Gump is good feeling. It's what? It's a box of chocolates.
But it's also sad, Isn't there? Sometimes I think I don't know. I think the Academy errs on the side of what is a movie saying about our condition, and it's hard to sometimes talk about what Pulp Fiction has to say about the human condition. I mean, I'm sure that it does. I've never thought of it
You're
in those
right.
terms.
Since I just saw Guy Ritchie's new film, Gentlemen, I'm aware of the effect that this film had on particularly gangster films later on. It's more. It is much. You're reminding me. It is much about style.
Yeah.
Yes, it is about substance, and that's why it's a difficult one, because Forrest Gump is still an index for some people about that kind of film.
I can't. I know some people think it's sappy. I don't. I hold no sap against any movie that's sincere. I got a question.
Sure you do.
Here's one that's a little. This is not on our list. I got another prop. Okay.
Oh.
Listen to these movies. See if you remember which one is the best picture.
Oh.
2003. The Hours.
Oh yeah.
The Pianist. Gangs of New York. Chicago. Lord of the Rings.
Pianist.
No. Chicago won. I don't know if any of those movies deserve it.
What did The Pianist get? It got something.
I think it got Best Actor.
Okay.
Adrian Brody won.
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah. All right, I got a better one than that. List. That's a nice list, I have to admit. In 1980, here's a tough one. Well, not so tough. Kramer versus Kramer has a certain place in the divorce business, okay? And I think does a very good job. But how does that beat out Apocalypse Now?
I'm glad you hit on this conundrum, because I am a fan of both of those
Yes,
films.
I know you are.
I remember when I was a kid watching Kramer versus Kramer over and over again. I was fascinated by that as a kid watching a dad. Like, I think that movie is primarily responsible for the kind of fathers we've become. There was that whole period. It really taps into that cultural moment where fatherhood changes. And I know that now it's considered a little misogynistic because of the portrayal of Meryl Streep's character, but hey, some people are like that. Apocalypse Now, as epic as it is, as cinematically, it's such a grand, bizarre cinematic experiment. It is flawed. I'm not sure that the cut that came out in 1979 was ultimately the cut that Francis Ford Coppola would have, structured himself. I don't know. All I can say is they're both great, and I don't mind Kramer versus Kramer getting the
Yeah,
best
well, I
picture.
do, because Apocalypse Now, based upon my favorite novella by Joseph Conrad, Heart of Darkness,
Yeah.
as difficult, as complex, and as dense as Conrad's novella is, Coppola captured it. And our movement all the way to finding that demented colonel at the end of that journey is a beautiful evocation of the decline of civilization, of its participation, for instance, in wars like Vietnam.
Okay.
So it catches at the essential corruption, and all along the way. And anyway,
Yeah.
yes.
No, I get it. I'm not going to argue with you because I feel like this could go either way on that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, an argument that needs to be made is, at that time we were still so close to the war that it could only be dealt with in these heavy metaphorical terms.
Yeah, I know.
It wouldn't be until another 10 years later we could start making stuff like Platoon, which just kind of got at the real ugliness of it. Anyway.
All right, Hayden is noticing that we're going too
We're
long.
running. We're
We're
running.
going
This is
too.
amazing.
So I'd like to end up with one, please.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Could we do one? 1953. How in the heck does the greatest show on earth beat High Noon?
I don't know. How does in 1967 A Man for All Seasons beat Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Oh, you're so right. That's even worse than any. Yes.
Here's one. Driving Miss Daisy beats Field of Dreams.
Now see,
1990.
I think that's in your egregious category.
Driving Miss Daisy. That's Green Book winning over Black Panther, right?
Exactly. All right, that's the end. Hayden, thank you.
Now see, why do they have $1 Million Baby over there? This does make sense. Of
What?
course that should win. $1 Million Baby.
Oh, I
over
agree.
The
Yeah,
Aviator.
that
The
was
Aviator's trash.
Yeah.